What is up, everyone? Welcome to episode 10. I can't believe we're at 10 episodes. It's actually nuts. You know, you guys are keeping me motivated. Everyone's keeping me motivated to keep bringing these episodes out, and I'm having a lot of fun doing it. So episode 10, bit of a milestone. Pretty cool, but what is even cooler is the guest for this episode, Luke Mallinson of CUTLAPS. This was really, really cool. Yes, he's a very prominent YouTuber. He's an all-around great guy, but getting an insight and getting to know how he got into trail building and his background in design and graphics and all of that was just super interesting. Dead set legend, as are all the guests, but here it is, episode 10 with Luke Mallinson of CUTLAPS. Let's go!
I think it's like an old door or something. You just lean up on against a couple of bricks, and that was it. That's how it started.
Yes.
Even before YouTube, like eBarms World and stuff like that. And then
Oh my gosh, you did not just say
eBarms World, mate. I put together a video called the Shreddinator, and I got special.
The Shreddinator.
Yeah, so it's like the Terminator. There was a spoof of the Terminator, but
This is actually the 10th episode, which is wild. Like, I didn't think anyone would like. I mean, I thought, look, I'm not a boring guy, but like, it's crazy that people are just interested to know what other people are doing. But this is episode number 10, which is gnarly.
Yeah,
a bit of a milestone.
That's
to hit double figures. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Fully Pinned podcast, episode 10. Now, I know you've seen this mug before, but I'm pretty sure you would have seen this guy's mug before. If you've heard of the channel CUTLAPS, this is a man behind the screen that does all of that. The beauty, the beard, the mane, Luke Mallinson. Mate, thank you so much for coming on.
No worries. Thanks for having me, mate. It's good.
Oh, bro, it's, wow. Like, what a, I've always said that people's stories are super important, regardless of the world. Like, I really want to try and encapsulate, Australia, MTB, like whoever's keen to, jump on an MTB world, I'm keen to have him, but like, I really want the core of our guests to be from this beautiful country. Now, we had another YouTuber who, of course, Johnny, as our first guest, and I thought, why not number 10, bring the big homie on.
No, mate, sweet. 10 episodes is awesome. Like, congratulations on that. And
thank you very much.
Great to have a conversation.
Man, let's give everyone a backstory who may have somehow missed the communications of the communications of CUTLAPS. Let's give a bit of a history of who you are. So, like, let's intro yourself, so to speak, if you wouldn't mind doing.
Yeah, sweet. Well, we'll go the quick intro. We don't need to get into how I got into mountain bikes and everything just yet, hey?
Yeah. No. Just a little brief overview.
Yeah, brief overview. My name's Luke. I have a YouTube channel which involves me just building mountain bike trail I call it my backyard. It's a little bit bigger than a backyard. I've got
it's a little bit large.
Yeah, it's pretty big. It's yeah, I've got my own private forest. I'm very, very freaking lucky to be able to have access to building this location. So I was building my own private trail and decided to start documenting it for YouTube. Always been passionate about filming and editing and stuff. So I decided, let's film it. Let's put it up on YouTube. And things started to snowball and get a bit out of control. And now there's a couple thousand people tune in and watch me get mischief in the backyard. It's pretty sick.
It's funny, like, if you look at it, and in essence, now I'm sure before we jumped on the call, you were talking about the bikes, the shed, land, motorbikes. Obviously, that's a throwback to things you're probably into as a young fella. But in essence, it's literally just a bunch of sticks around. Like, if you really want to like draw it back, like hammer, nails. I mean, obviously, there's a little bit of a science to getting everything to work properly. But like, when I was a kid, the things that we used to build were not like, they were not helpful to anyone's safety, but just being able to do something that you created or like build something, look at something you created and test it out and ride it. It was such a satisfying thing. And now you're in this space where you know, probably not far off, you know, doing it full time, I guess.
Yeah, no, exactly. And like I said, when we were kids, we were growing up just digging holes and jumping off little dirt piles, and I was
Just
thinking
the best.
skateboarding. So it's just like, oh, we had this. I think it was like an old door or something. You just lean up on against a couple of bricks, and that was it. That's how it started.
Best. Why is it like every guy that I talk to, or like every guest that I've had on, if like there's always a door. Yeah, you have a cuddle. Good night. Come on, Bubs. Good night, Bubba. Love you.
Bedtime.
Yeah,
little
that's
man.
it. Bedtime. Everybody's like got a story with like a couple of bricks or better bricks. They're not always like traditional, you know, like house bricks, but like better bricks you flogged from a work site, and like a crappy piece of like literally like crap wood or like a door. I don't understand how it's like always a door.
Had this metal grate. It was a metal grate. It was just perfect for just this little kicker. I mean, I couldn't do anything off it. We just launch it off it as quick as we could on the skateboard and occasionally on the bikes. And that was the start of CUTLAPS right there, the first build.
The first major build. And it's funny, like when I think, what is the movie? It is just Napoleon Dynamite. Like that, obviously that iconic scene. Like, I don't think they could have measured the impact of how significant that seat was, because we weren't jumping bikes that were really like ready. Like I used to jump. My nana had. Yeah, exactly. I used to jump my nana's banana seat bike. Like that my mum used to ride when she was a kid. Like he just did anything to try and get off the ground.
Yeah, no, it was good. It's funny that you mentioned that scene actually from Napoleon, because you would have seen my latest video where I built a kicker out of pallet wood.
Yes, we're talking about that.
I actually downloaded that scene for the intro of my video. Like I had included it as well, but I decided, I mean, I thought it was hilarious, but I decided to pull it out just because I don't have the copyright to it. And I was like, if this video blows up, I don't want a strike on my channel or something. So I ended up cutting it, but there's an alternate version out there that's way funnier than the one that's on YouTube.
Would that be something that you... it'd be so sick to see, like, and this is how it was supposed to look. You got a sweet 3 feet of air.
Maybe we did like a Patreon version or something. I did actually keep, there's another classic scene from the start of Hot Rod that I kept in at the end of the video. Did you ever watch that?
Yeah, I have. I'm just trying to remember because we're talking about jumping things, all I can think about is the scene with the pool.
The
Well,
very first scene, he's trying to jump a van out in the street, and the whole kicker collapses, and the dude just works himself. So I included that in the story. It worked well, I think.
I love it. Oh man, what a classic, Andy Sandberg. So you obviously had, I mean, this will roll perfectly because we're getting nostalgia. This roll perfectly into the next thing. History with bikes, man. Like, how did you fall into, like, was it just kind of like I got a BMX when I was a kid and it went from there? What's your history with mountain biking, or did you just have a mountain bike straight from the get-go?
I actually didn't properly get into mountain biking until the end of 2019, so it's actually pretty recent. But
really? Truly?
Yeah, I've been riding bikes since I was a kid. So the property that I'm building on is actually really close to where I grew up as a kid. We have it's 150 acres. It's actually where I'm right now at my mum's house. So it's just bushland. So me and my brother, we could ride bikes when we, like, as soon as we could walk, pretty much. And so we're just lapping around the house and off in the bush. And just, I don't know, I think, I had a BMX, just, whatever came from the secondhand shop and stuff. No fancy bikes, especially back then. And then we moved to Canberra. There's all the neighborhood kids around. We had like a street of kids the same age, and we all had our little push bikes, and we'll be off at the park or, out playing until the lights turn out,
the best.
Yeah.
Absolutely the best thing ever. Straight after breakfast, as soon as you could get out of the door on a Saturday morning, you were gone.
Yeah. So, and that was my childhood, just riding bikes with the neighborhood kids. We'd set up dumb little jumps. Like I was always such a kook on a bike, like trying to get as soon as I was trying to get in the air, riding around was fine and ripping skids and stuff. And that was sick. So, but as I grew older, I got into skateboarding, and after school I was big into snowboarding and following the snow seasons around and stuff. So never really got into mountain biking. Always knew it existed. I'd watch videos online even before YouTube, like eBarm's World and stuff like that. And then
my gosh, you did not just say
eBarm's World, mate.
I remember literally in high school, like how whoever the mad nerd was had figured out how to like view things without the school like seeing, and instead of doing whatever you're doing, you would put whatever the crack code was, and you'd go on eBarm's World and play games, and there was some feral crap on that side.
Oh, it was so good though. I went to a hippie school, so they didn't even have any of the firewalls or anything. The teachers didn't know how to install that, so we could do whatever we want on the
Quickly, when you say hippie school, what is the term? Because someone mentioned that to me in conversation recently that the kids go to. It's like one of those things, huh?
Is it a Steiner school?
That's it. Exactly.
Yeah,
is that like when you learn to read when you're like 6 or 7, and you do it like creatively
probably
first?
like kindergarten. I didn't go until year 7 or something, so I didn't go to the early school ages, but my sister did. And yeah, so kindergarten was like, it's just colouring in. Maybe kindergarten year 1 and 2 and stuff, they just focus on much more creative stuff. It's like, I don't know, a 5-year-old, 6-year-old doesn't need to know the times tables or anything, or maths or science. So yeah, it's just a different way to teach, which is actually, I mean, we call it a hippie school, but it really suited my learning style so much more. Like in regular public schools, I just felt like the biggest dumbass through English stuff. But
I wonder if I would have benefited from something like that.
Yeah, it focuses a lot more on the creative side of things as well. So
yeah,
let's see. Like I built a quarter pipe in the woodwork class and stuff. So no, it was good.
Oh mate, that the door on the bricks was 1.0. That was the insurgence of CUTLAPS, and now we've immersed to the gone to the quarter pipe.
Yeah, well, year 12 it went to a full blown half pipe. It was
holy.
Year 12 they have like a project that's supposed to last the entire year. I was like, oh, I don't know.
Oh yeah, so like a year-long build type thing.
Built a little 4-foot half pipe in the backyard with, yeah, that was actually pretty sick. And had like full metal coping and stuff. I mean, not that I could really do anything on it. I was still shit, but it was sick. It was so good.
Just the best thing to have. I remember we had a friend of ours, same sort of thing, like build us like, if you were to compare it to like a mountain bike jump, it would be like we rode our skateboards off it. I don't know how countless times eating it, but it was more like a ski jump type thing. Like it didn't have like, we used to go as fast as we could down the street and just see like,
send it.
Even if it, yeah, literally how far you could go, or like you just like poo shoot your board and see how many times you could get to like flip. Just so ridiculous. We just put this thing in the middle of the road, like at any stage. Like it was a relatively quiet street, but when you think back on it, you're like, that was really dumb. Like
it was the best part about growing up, right? Like
100%. I am very thankful that I still value the outdoors. Like obviously, I have a very creative. My son is very, very creative, very athletic as well. Yeah. And so he's got his own little BMX, and I'll get the video later, but he is not at all scared to go insanely fast on his bike. So he's already in a full face and stuff. So it's cool to see him passionate about, the things that we grew up with as such, being outdoors. Yeah. Would love to get him into he's a little bit young to get him like out in the bush, like building stuff, and he gets a little bit scared of bugs and things like that. Like he'd never seen a marsh fly before the first time I took him up to some stuff that I had kind of scraped out. Yeah. And he's like, Dad, that's a really big fly. And me like not thinking, I'm like, oh, when they bite you, blood comes out. And he was like, I want to go.
Take me home.
Off the back of that, like, so you finished school, you've had this building, chased the snow season. How did it kind of come around? Like, did you keep building like stuff when you were home? Like, what was
the half pipe was really the last thing I built for a long time. But
Yep.
I was except like I was still getting that creative outlet at the snow. It's just so much easier to build stuff because you dig a kicker. You hike out into the backcountry, dig a big jump to launch yourself off, and then it melts away. So you don't need any crazy engineering techniques or anything. So yeah, I was always still having fun building that sort of thing, but I wouldn't call it a proper build. I'm a graphic designer, so during that sort of period, I was just letting my creative juices flow into whatever design work I was currently working on. And yeah, it wasn't until 2019 that I moved to Bulli, and onto Bulli Pass, which anyone that is a local of the Wollongong area will know is like the Princess Highway. It just goes straight up this escarpment, and there is some of the best mountain bike trails like right there. So at the end of
wild.
These epic downhill trails, me and my housemate were like, well, hell yeah, of course we're going to get these bikes. So we ended up buying, I think his was a $200 giant Talon. I got
everybody had one of those. Like so many of my guests have had a giant Talon. It's super weird.
Yeah, that's what I had as well. I mean, it was just like the cheap entry level hardtail bike.
Yeah, it was they were literally everywhere.
Yeah, we were just like Bulli downhill it's a chunky black downhill.
Yeah.
We used to just push our bike down half of it and stuff. But yeah, like after a while, we're just rattling down this thing out of control and having the best time. So I was like, all right, within a couple months, we're like, all right, we need better bikes now. I'm hooked on mountain biking. We ended up getting the full squish and never looked back. That was it. Done and dusted.
How good.
Yeah.
You mentioned like the graphic, obviously, your trade was graphic design. Did you study, like do a uni course or anything at any stage?
Yeah, I did. It was
so the snow stuff was like a gap year.
A gap 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I love it. How good.
I was never going back to school. I was done. I was like, no, finished year 12. I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm done and dusted. But I think I was like 23, 24, and I went back to tech and studied graphic design for 2 years. And it was actually digital media. So half graphic design, half like website building and film and stuff like that as well. So, and homework and stuff like school was easy. I was naturally talented at something, and it just it came so easy to me. So I was like, oh wow, is this what school was like for half those kids back then? Like, anyway, so yeah, at tech, just loved graphic design. Did a final year to get a bachelor at university, and never looked back.
And that's it. So at what stage, were you like, I just feel like making a YouTube video? Because obviously, I can't remember if it was an audio message that I sent you, but you had done some like design and audio visual work, like visual work for clients of yours. When were you like, maybe I should build something and film it? How did obviously you've gotten on the bike, 100% you're on YouTube watching YouTubers.
Yeah.
Were you just like, I should try this? At what stage were you like, I need to give this a go? Because your first video wasn't obviously too long ago.
Yeah, and that wasn't my first video ever. Like we had a video camera growing up, so we were always just
dad cam, the best,
jackass and stuff and whatever, and really got into video editing when I was growing up. And so how did that all start? When I was following the seasons around, I actually moved to the States and lived over in Salt Lake City for a season with a bunch of mates.
Nice.
Went down to Best Buy and bought myself a digital camera and a laptop and just filmed the boys snowboarding. And really got into editing then. So I had a lot of fun just putting together snowboard films of the guys and trying to emulate, what we saw on the TV and the big films coming out at the time. And it really escalated from there. So I was pumping out a couple of snowboard, just like 5-minute edits and stuff each season. And then I studied graphic design, which also had it had an introduction to videography in the course.
Yep.
But they didn't actually teach me anything because by that stage I'd already learned so much more. But it was just cool to actually have someone be like, oh yeah, that's pretty cool. You're doing this well. And then I bought my first HD handy cam, so it was like 1080p. Went out, filmed my mate, and I did a series edit of him, and that blew up. I mean, what blew up at the time was, I think it got about 500 views on Vimeo, and we were just like, wow, that's amazing. So many people are watching this. This is crazy. And 2 snowboard brands called me up within 2 days and like, can you come do work for us? I'm like, oh, all right, yeah, sweet. So got a couple of gigs straight out of that, and
wild.
Yeah, it was just so there was Flow Snowboards, and they sent 2 pros from the States, from their international team, on a road trip around Australia, and I got to just jump in the car and do a couple of edits of them. It was a road trip video of us just running amok on the road. It was sick. It was so good.
That is literally one of the coolest things I have ever heard.
It was
so gnarly.
Blast from the past. I hadn't even thought about that in a long time. But yeah, that was awesome. And that season as well, Perisher used to have this video competition called Tube My Ride, where you had to film a video at Perisher. Which, for anyone that I know isn't familiar with Australia or anything, it's just one of the ski fields here. And I put together a video called The Shreddinator. And I got special.
The Shreddinator.
Yeah, so it's like the Terminator. There was a spoof of the Terminator, but and we feel like I got into After Effects and was doing like all these special effects. So my mate, who's a really good snowboarder, he comes back and he's the Terminator, and like something happens. He terminates one of our other friends. Like, this is after he's thrown back with roadies and spins and stuff. He's done all these tricks, and then our other mate, who's a really good skier, who's like, hey mate, try a real sport. And so he comes over and terminates him, takes his skis, and then he just shreds on the skis as well. So it's just this, like, it was a fun story and a really, just a great learning experience. Like, I busted my ass off editing and like getting really fancy with those techniques and stuff. And we ended up winning. So that was really cool. That was $5,000 in the pocket for having fun doing what we love, like just snowboarding and filming stupid crap. So
it's funny when you look back on it like that, and you're like, I was just kind of being a goose.
Yeah.
Like, I wanted to win the money, but like in the end, I was just like, Shreddinator, and you made a video like off of that.
It's sick. It's still out there. Like, I've got it on. I think it's on another
YouTube.
It's on another YouTube channel. So I've got like a YouTube channel which is just my kind of like holiday films and stuff, my own sort of scrapbook, and it's on there. So I'll send a link through.
Yeah, all right.
I don't know if it comes up in search or anything. But yeah, no, that was a classic. But yeah, so everything. So
I found it. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Surely that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, all right. That is definitely going to be watch list. I love the idea of that, because I very much like, I know kind of the way that I got into like that, the 2 stories you've just told me, like you made some, like you made an edit, you and your mates are just doing your thing, Vimeo, and then someone's like, oh, can you come film for us? And like, all of a sudden you're in a van. You must have been just and now you've won this comp. Like, it makes me think about how I got into mountain biking, like all the videos and edits that I used to watch, and I don't know why or how this was the first stuff that I found, but probably like 04, 05, 03, 04, 05. There was a series on MTV called Drop In, and it was all like free ride guys, like wearing big baggy Oakley
Yeah.
things, and they were just like super rowdy, and it looked like it was a total like piss take. Like it looked like there were guys just taking the mickey out of each other, like absolutely just like super rowdy guys. So I like hearing. It's cool to hear stories that their birth kind of like into MTB kind of had a similar sort of like antics, and kind of spirit behind it. So I think that's very important, and I've mentioned this a million times, and I'll keep harping it on because it's a message that I want to be clear that essentially mountain biking more than anything, and I know quite a few people share this sentiment, regardless of the goals, is about fun with your mates.
Exactly. It's all about the community, and I say that to so many people as well. That it's like, oh, I'm not very good about this, and it's like nobody cares. Like I say it a lot about snowboarding as well. It doesn't matter if you are a beginner or a pro. If you're out there, you can be having just as much fun as either of them. It doesn't matter if you're throwing backflips or you're just learning to jump for the first time. Like it is exhilarating and so much fun. Just get out there.
100%.
Let's see.
Well, I made him. I can say this now because the post I'm going to put up tomorrow about him will come out before this app comes out. But a mate of mine he's actually my boss as well, one of my best mates, but he had never ridden a mountain bike before, and I basically had about a rough, like I would say, like near 20-year gap between me getting back on a bike. Like I only got back on a mountain bike last year because I started work with him. My work's 10 minutes from my house, so I was like, I'm just not driving a car there.
Yeah.
So I picked up a old Norco Storm. And the second I got back on, I was like, literally, there's no way this has just been a work bike. I started bashing that thing. Absolutely. Yeah. I was just absolutely rinsing this stuff. Like the chain slap was terrible. I was like, right, about 6 or 7 months into it, I needed a new bike. I was like, I need something else. So I raffled it. And funny enough, Johnny won it of all people.
Yes. Yeah, I listened to that and heard that he won.
Yeah. And then I said to my mate, I was like, bro, you should come. Like, and this is when I started kind of like been on a ride with Johnny, and like I'd met a couple of other people, and I don't even know how like it all come about, but I just said to my mate Dan, I was like, bro, just get a bike and just come for rides. And he's like, well, I don't really know. I was just like, doesn't matter, just come ride. Literally within like 10 days, he had a really, really nice, it was an older model, would have been like a 2019 maybe, or 2018, like Norco hardtail, but it was like an aggressive one.
Yeah.
I think 150 mil of travel in the front, I guess, decent little Sun Tour fork, and that was it. Like we were on, and he was just like, I had a vague idea, not a vague idea because I've rode so much when I was a kid. I feel like a lot of that stuff never left. But for him, like, he's just like, all right, so what now? And there we are, just like out in the bush. He's never ridden a bike before. And I'm just like, I don't know half this. Like, I knew some basic techniques, like nothing like super fancy. And we're just like fanging down stuff.
Yeah,
and
we ride.
That's it. And we just rode. And I was just like, what? And it's such a cheap, like, if you really want to go like bare bees knees, you don't have to spend a lot to get into it. And within 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, like before he got his full squish, man, he was taking this thing down Frenzy, DH into Toowoomba. Like every trail we were doing, I was like, this dude has either got, we call him Big Nuts, but because he did everything we did. Like he's like, I'm not getting left behind. He did everything we did. And just following him down a trail was just so rowdy because that back end just swimming everywhere. And like, it just, like those moments, like seeing someone push past something they didn't think they can do is just, it's beautiful. I mean, that's why we ride, it's why we ride bikes. It's like, man, it's like you're just like, I'm going to make a video. This video is going to be sick. Then I'm going to ride the feature and it's going to be sick. Then I'm going to have some mates around and I'll make a video about my mates riding it. Like, I feel like if you try and keep the basis of your bike riding at a very genuine, like if your mantra, so to speak, is fun,
Yeah,
you're pretty much never going to have a bad time on the bike.
that's it. Just want to have a good time. I don't think. See, I've never entered into a race or anything. I've never
Yep.
done that, and I hear that can, like, people love racing, obviously. I reckon the stress would get to me. I don't know whether I'd have fun racing.
It's one of those things, like I did my first one May 6th. It's funny because I haven't ridden a bike since then because I snapped it.
Yeah,
And then I replaced it. I replaced the chainstay. And then because I snapped the chainstay clean from the axle. And then when I put that in, above it, the seat stay must have been. So when I put the straight part in, it's bent it back and snapped that as well. I took it for a service the week before the race. And he's just like, I do not recommend, because I didn't know why my rear brake pads were rubbing.
Yeah, right.
And he goes, I don't recommend you race this. So I borrowed a mate's bike and then I tore my ACL. Oh, this is a disaster, this part. But yeah, tore ACL June 1st. And so I've got a new bike sitting in the garage. But like that race, I think racing completely depends on who you are as a person and the things that make you tick in regards to how fun it was. Because you ask anyone that knows me very well, I'm annoyingly like critical of like my self performance, and because I see what I know I can do, and unrealistically even though I know what I can achieve, unrealistically my brain's like, oh, you can just do this now.
Yeah.
So when you have those expectations, like it was super fun, but it was, funnily enough, it was always more fun when I chase, Johnny and one of our mates Jack like into a lap, or I did a lap with a couple of other boys, or I say, oh sweet, you try and keep up with me. It was always more fun, and I didn't not enjoy it, and I did not have fun when I was racing. But when I was with myself trying to barn down something, it just wasn't the same. And
yeah.
I can't say like I can't speak to the actual mind of a racer and what it gives for them. But I get that, because like when I was just hooning down the trail myself, you get very I got very in my head,
Yeah,
type thing. So it's just ironic that, right, or trying to chase a couple of the boys down the trail was way more fun because you can hear them screaming.
yeah,
You know what I
everyone
mean?
loose. You just ride on each other's tires and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to try a race, not a cross country race.
Just do a super flow or something like that. Do something super chill.
Yeah, there was one up in Cuba earlier in the year that I was thinking about, and now I've just got to get around to it. I was trying to drag Froth along as well.
Would you enter the e-bike, or would you enter the acoustic division?
Good question. I guess it depends on the day.
Yeah. We'll wake up. I'm feeling like I want to go up hills easy
Do
today.
I have to pedal up the hill? Oh, I need to work so much on my fitness. That's the biggest problem with me. I spend too much time in front of the computer or in front of the TV, or people will probably be surprised.
You don't strike me as an unfit guy.
Yeah, well.
Like, let me just have another sip of this beer.
I've got I've got out this last couple of weeks. I'm like, all right, I actually need to ride a hell of a lot more and just try and keep this fitness up. And I've been getting back out on the analog just to flog myself, or riding around in eco mode. Yeah. It is really easy to jump out on the e-bike and put that in boost and have an awesome time. Like, it's so much fun, and that's what I live for on the bike. But I do need to have those fitness days as well. I mean, you are getting you're getting a big workout on the e-bike still, but it's not the same as pedaling up a hill.
Yeah, I get you. I've had this conversation with a few people lately. It's got a bit spicy in areas, but like,
I love them both, but I wouldn't do either. Like, I couldn't live without either. And the e-bike is just, it's so
It's
good.
a different tool. You got to look at it as a different
There's just
tool.
fire trails everywhere, and with some like really steep hills, and you can't take a regular bike out on that. It's just not any fun. I don't know whether anyone could, like, they're just really steep climbs and so loose and so just too, I don't think anyone's got enough traction. Like, it's a struggle on the e-bike. So just get out and do like 20 Ks on the e-bike is unreal, because there is some big downhills to just flog down these trails. But if I wanted to stay flat, it would be like a 5-hour time on my regular bike, or it's a 1 hour on the e-bike. So of course I'm taking the e-bike out.
Is there much around so like, I don't know what the elevation's like on the property. So you're saying there's some, like, in that area there's a fair bit of riding, or around where you live? Because you don't actually live there at the moment, eh?
No, so at the moment it's about 5 Ks away from where I live is where I build the track. So the property, Dad's property, where I build my mountain bike trails, and then I'm living about 5 kilometers away on another property, and we back onto a national park which just has fire trails all the way off through. It's what we sort of grew up riding dirt bikes on and just exploring out there. So now I jump on the e-bike and flog it around as well.
Mate, I rode one for the first time, and I was never like, and I will look directly into the camera and say this, I don't hate them. Please don't take this the wrong way, anybody. I rode one for the first time and I was very surprised, but I could also see if you weren't clued in with all the extra weight, it could cause you some trouble in particular ways.
This is going to, because I've listened to, what was it, you and Johnny talking about it, and he doesn't think anyone should get on it. Look,
I know beginners. I don't think beginners should start on an e-bike either. I think a hardtail is the best.
It changes so much. Like, some beginners are 60-year-olds now, and having it depends on the person, and it also depends.
Yeah, that's true. I'll say that.
What they want out of mountain bike, like me and you, we take it pretty serious. We do want to get hard down the trails, but somebody might just be like, I just want to ride once a month around some fire trails or whatever. Like, yeah, fine, jump on an e-bike. But if you want to get serious about, your times and picking the best
skill acquisition,
and getting into the chunkiness and taking mountain biking seriously, then I don't know, ride an e-bike. I don't care. A hardtail is obviously the way to go, and that's where you're going to get the best technique from. But I mean, if the person wants an e-bike, I don't care. That's it.
Yeah, not at all. I genuinely would, if I had the money after riding one, because, like, oh man, we'd have a whole lot more things if we had a whole lot more money, right? I mean, that's a constant thing that comes up in a lot of these conversations. But after riding one, because I'm at a stage post-op where I'm back on a bike, but I'm only allowed to do like 2 10-minute pedals a day, just because it's a slow recovery. But with the e-bike, I was like, holy, I can do my 10 minutes, but that 10 minutes or 15, 20 minutes, whatever it is, got me to a top of the hill so I could watch the boys that I wouldn't have been able to pedal up.
Right.
I was on, the acoustic. Maybe I could have, but it would have taken me a hell of a long time. But obviously with that extra bit of power, I was able to maintain a lot more balance because I had more pace going up the hill. So I had the thing in boost, and I was like, oh man, this is so helpful. Like, the boys are pushing up. I got to the top. I got a little vlog. Oh, that's a drama. I finished the phone vlog and then exported a copy. Didn't have a GIF in it, so I deleted it to free up space because I almost need another. Just a terrible situation, but I have to start it again. But having the e-bike made it so easy to actually get to places.
Yeah.
And that's where I was like, I get why this is like such a big thing, because immediately I was just like, man, this has just given me accessibility to so many things. Like, and then like you mentioned, like, let's say like you said, there's an older person who's got a community group and they go on group rides. Like, you know, a 7-speed in the back with 3 granny gears might not be ideal for how mobile. Like, they could put it on a second level boost, you know, chuck it into a decent gear, and that gives them enough torque to keep up for, like, you know, or if, like you said, someone just wants to, you know, like, you know, do laps. The accessibility that one gives you is flipping epic.
You got an hour, like, I don't know, or a new dad with the baby at home or something is like, okay, I can only get an hour in. Well, yeah, I could pedal up the hill and get 1 lap, or I could be on the e-bike and do 3 or 4 or something.
Yeah, why not?
You're doing it for fitness, or you're doing it for fun? I don't ride for fitness. I should do more for my fitness, but
yeah, we all should, brother.
So, yeah, get me to the top of the hill and fucking let me have a good time on the way down.
Absolutely. So swing it, like, obviously I definitely want to pick your brains about, like, the tube a little bit. I'm sure we'll spin off into some more bike related banter. Were you like, all right, I'm going to be this is something I've, like, been wanting to, like, ask someone that's kind of reached, you know, this level, but were you like, because obviously I know there's some people around me and I know their goals for, like, you know, their YouTube and stuff. Did you ever foresee it growing like this, or were you like, if I do it this way, it will grow like this? What was your outlook with it? Was it just kind of like a dream that turned into a thing? Was it those earlier videos that you made that kind of said, hey, maybe I should try this? Like, how did it kind of...
I started, so this isn't actually my first YouTube channel. I'd mentioned another one.
Yeah, yep.
Which I didn't actually take seriously as a YouTube channel or anything. I was just doing my, like, home videos and holiday videos and that sort of stuff, where I'd take my film pretty sunsets and that type of thing. So I was familiar with making videos and uploading them and stuff, but then I started looking into, I was like, oh, YouTube, people actually make decent money out of YouTube and stuff. I'm out here building a mountain bike trail, and when I was building the mountain bike trail already, and it was during COVID, and I was like, oh, it'd be so good if I was in lockdown with my friends in this house and we were just out building this trail together. Like, that was my dream. And I can remember
yeah.
And I'd make a documentary about it, I reckon. I was just picturing all these people just showing up just to watch this trail being built. Yeah. And then eventually, a couple of months later, I was like, somebody's got to be doing this. So I jumped onto YouTube, and sure enough, there's a bunch of trail building videos and a bunch of lockdown stuff. And so I just became addicted like that. I was absorbing as much trail building content as possible. And so then, just with my history, the trail started getting bigger and bigger and building some more interesting things. And with my history and passion in video editing already, I was like, oh, it's kind of a no-brainer to
make it. Yeah,
it'd be stupid to start documenting this. These other channels in the States that I was following were getting, 400, 500,000 views, which was a decent amount of ad revenue and stuff as well. So I was like, okay, well, I could just go at this half-assed and, just film whatever and throw it up on YouTube, or I can just take a step back and plan it out a little bit, like approach it like a business. So with the hopes that one day I can go YouTube full time, and that is just my full job.
Yeah.
And so that's what I decided to do. So that's why you'll see, like, the very first video on my channel. I mean, I've improved a hell of a lot since then, but it was already like next level.
Above what you might see first off out of most channels.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that's how I approached it. I was like, let's do this, and if I do it right, then I can make a living.
How? Oh man, the dream. How did you though? Where did the trail building thing come about? Because obviously, like, it's not like you can just knock up a couple of bits of wood together and make it jump. Where did how did that come about? Like, it obviously, like, you've watched all these videos. When you built your first ramp, like your proper ramp, did you have a plan that you downloaded, and then you went with that, and then it just expanded from there, or did you have like a building thing?
Half pipe one, or like from back at school?
Yeah, okay, yeah, you got the half pipe thing, yeah.
Yeah, like, well, because so I had a bit of woodworking. Fuck, I can't even remember if I had plans for that. There must have been plans online or something that I got from the half pipe and worked out how to get a decent radius and all that. So that's how that came about. And then the trail building, that started like as soon as I started mountain biking. I like being out in the bush and just being out in nature and stuff, but I just started to see nature differently. Like as soon as I was riding, you'd be walking, I was like, wow, look at that rock over there. That's amazing. Like you'd be able to build a jump off that and send it, or there's a creek gap over there. I couldn't even jump the length of my bike. So all these things that I'm imagining, they're impossible for me, but that's just how I visualize the world. And I remember one day, so up in Wollongong, I was out on a ride, riding up this fire trail, and I looked out to the left, and there was this big boulder and another boulder straight after it. And I'm like, that looks like it needs a trail right there. And I bush bashed through and had a look. I was like, this is perfect. So that was it. I started getting up at 6 a.m. in the morning and building my first trail, which I went down to the hardware and bought like $5 rake and $5 shovel and was moving these big rocks and boulders and didn't get too far with the trail. Somebody stole all my tools and stuff. And, I was building,
it happens.
I was building an illegal trail. I shouldn't have been doing it there, but I loved it. I was just getting up early and before work, and eventually COVID kicked in and I lost my job, and I came down. I lost my job. Somebody stole my tools, and then 5 hours away, 7 hours away, about 5 hours away is Dad with this amazing property, like 150 acres of bushland, a bit over 100 meters of elevation. There's creeks, there's gullies, there's rocks. There's just everything you want. I was like, all right, well. And actually, I'd been watching mountain bike trail building, and I was down on a holiday visiting my parents, and Dad was watching some of it with me. He's like, this is really good. Like, we could build a trail like this out on the property. It's like, yeah.
You're like, whoa, Dad, I hadn't been thinking about that.
So that's it. I think the very next day we were out there with rakes, just raking in this trail, and that's how it started. We had just this raked in trail, and eventually I was digging berms, and it got a bit more serious, and put in a bridge. And it was after that first bridge, I was like, all right, I think I'm going to start YouTubing this, and I started filming some things, and
here we are.
Yeah.
And so I just love that the whole essence of this is so youthful. Like, essentially, it's just literally two, just this big hairy kid.
Yeah.
Like just slapping the wood together, digging holes. Like, it's just so, like, obviously there's a lot more planning because, one of the main points of trail building is using the land to the best of your ability to obviously get it to operate with free speed, etc., features to work, this and that. But like that core of it is so useful.
Yeah, just getting out there, and it's a big sandbox. You just build what you want, and if it doesn't work, you tear it down and build it again.
That's so. What has been the most difficult build, like section, I guess, so far?
The berm, the massive wooden berm, what do I call it? The bush beast. That thing.
Yes.
I mean, structurally, it's not that difficult, and how it all comes together is not that difficult. But there was over 2 ton worth of wood that went into that. I bought a timber mill.
Holy!
There was a lot of wood. So there was one day that I'm just carrying. I ended up taking some what is it? A weight thing. What is it? A scale up there to weigh one of these places. Like, this thing is freaking heavy. Nobody's going to believe it. It's 40 kilos. And I'm walking these things up and down this hill for a day. I moved 2 tons. Dad actually helped me a little bit, but I ended up moving 2 tons of wood just by hand. Over 100. I walked I walked 7 kilometers that day because I was like, this is going to be a pain in the ass. So I put it onto Strava to track how far I went. So 8 kilometers, 2 tons of wood.
Look, as long as it's on Strava, someone believes you. Like if you did a backflip and you had Strava on and you were like, I was in the air for 2.5 seconds to achieve that backflip. If you look at the elevation and then add in this calculation, like just has to be on Strava. Look, I will say from the very poor things that I have scraped out and built with some mates that people don't understand unless you have access. The lengthiest time is not the actual building, or I found for me, it was just getting stuff there and around to make it possible. Yeah. Because it's not an easy space to move in, especially when you're standing on something that's like this.
Yeah.
Like, it's just not easy to do. And then, like, sometimes you've got it all mapped out, 3/4 of the way through something, all of a sudden there's a gigantic piece of sandstone that you didn't know was there. And you're like, what am I going to do with this? It changes your idea. Then you have to backtrack and think about how this.
It's those things that are also like the trail. I mean, they're like the problem solving part of it as well that I actually really enjoy. It's interesting. Lots of people are like, how did you learn to do this? Like, you watch it, like you can see the very first video on the channel. Like that's me just learning. I don't actually know any. I'd used a chainsaw like once or twice or something. Did a bit of woodwork at school, but since year 12 I haven't touched any of those things. I was lucky that Dad's got the garage, the shed just full of like woodworking tools, so I've ended up buying a bunch of my own now. But yeah, I'll just be on YouTube learning different techniques. It's like, all right, cool, that's it. I'll try that tomorrow. I'll film it and there's a video. That's just me. So I really love to just learn by doing, just getting out there. Doesn't matter. It's my own little private trail. If I make a mistake, I make a mistake. It's not the end of the world.
Don't matter. It's all on you. Yeah. What would you say is the most helpful tool that you've had? Although, well, no, actually, not that. What would you say was the tool that that gave you the most advancement once you had it? You kind of like you knew you needed.
Well, there's been a bunch because there's a lot of tools unlock different levels. So, just starting off with the fireman's rake, the Rako, best tool for trail.
Best thing we ever got.
Cut and dig, off you go. You got a sweet trail. And then the next thing that really leveled up my trail building was my chainsaw. So I went out and bought like the second biggest chainsaw you could buy. It's overkill for actual chainsawing around the property. Like it's a forestry saw, but I bought it so I could mill my own timber with an Alaskan mill. So it's like this big metal jig guide that straps to your chainsaw. You use it lying down and you just slab a fallen tree into different, slices of wood.
So that mill that you have, that mill that you have has your chainsaw attached to it. That's not like a.
No, so you're probably thinking, well, I haven't even got to that yet. This is my first little like hand chainsaw.
Oh my god!
That was the first tool that took the channel and my trail building to the next level. Allowed me to build some pretty cool stuff with wood, and then after that came the mini excavator, which allowed me to move a hell of a lot more dirt. So with each one of these things, I was always like, I'll buy this tool because that will allow me to do what I'm doing, but just way quicker. It's never sped up the process. The projects have always just got way bigger. So
I completely understand that.
Which is a good thing. So after that, then I was like, well, I need a lot of wood. So I invested in an actual timber mill, which is probably the green one that you're thinking of. That's a big bandsaw. Excuse me. So it's like 6 meter rails, and I can do logs that are about 5.5 meters long, and that saves a lot of time in I mean, it still takes a hell of a lot of time because I got to drag the logs. I got to find these fallen trees, drag them there with the tractor, get it set up, and then you can slice it up into pieces. And the blade gets blunt real quick, and different things happen. But it's still a hell of a lot quicker than using my chainsaw. And so I was like, all right, I'll be able to build a lot more stuff now out of wood and pump out a heap more videos. But the very first video was the massive berm, and I just used 2 tons of wood, and that was like 3 months. So
That's
instead
so
of
wild.
features, it's like I'll build it bigger, and I haven't started yet, but the plan for that, like that berm, still just comes to an end, and it's going into like a big roller coaster section, so it's sort of like pumped through some big rolls and then into another massive right-hander berm. So it's going to be like this 100-meter long wood section that should just be, I don't know, there's probably nothing like it in Australia, actually. There's a shit ton.
That's cool.
So it's also nerve-wracking because I know how big that process is going to be.
How much bigger would you say than your wooden berm? Like, obviously, like the next session. Is it just an extension? Like, would you say, like, to this next right-hander that you're talking about? Like,
Yes.
how much more, like,
So the
wood, I
wooden
guess, are you
berm
going to be
goes
using?
The wooden berm comes around and like flattens out, and it's
Yeah.
at the moment. And yeah, so I'm just going to keep extending the trail, but as wood for this section. It should be about 3 times as long, because that wooden berm, like people don't, I mean, it looks pretty big in the video, but when you get there in real life, people are like, holy shit, this thing's massive. Like it's 2 meters wide and then about 30 meters long. Like,
So that kind of, because when people say 2 tons of wood, if you like rock them with like a hardwood or something like that, I can kind of get my head around it. But when you get the actual specs of it, and you think like a bike's wheelbase in a, like mine in a medium being an enduro is like 12.29. Don't know, so like 1 point, like that's not that much, like 1.2 meters, and you're talking like 2 meters wide with timber, like what, 4 inches or whatever it is, like, a few inches thick for each pallet, and then 30 meters, did you say?
long, yeah.
Ugh.
Almost 30 meters. The next section won't be as wide. It doesn't need to be as wide. So
yeah, obviously, yeah.
That was a catch berm. There's the corkscrew that happens before it. So part of the trail, like you come flying in top speed, it curves up the hill and loops around, and then there's a trail gap. So you jump like a drop, jump over. It's probably hard to tell on video, but the berm is really close to the landing. Like you don't have much time before you're hooking left, and you're going 40 k's an hour around that berm. So you got some pace.
So good.
So I needed to make sure that, because it's kind of a technical drop as well. So if you were like a little bit squiggly off, you needed space on it to be low or high or catch you. Because if you I don't know, if you got an unlucky bounce or something and launched off the back of that berm, you're
going haywire. It's not going to be fun.
Yeah, it's like you'll be falling from 3 meters height and hitting the ground. So I was like, I'll build it nice and wide, and then you
can kind of ride it from wherever.
And so you start high and just drop down and pick up even more speed in the middle of it.
I've watched it. I've watched that burn, not in just your vids, but obviously the boys have been around and ridden and stuff. It's funny. I mean, it's just like that. I mean, I think it's half the reason like bike parks get that aura is because people will, I hit this feature, I hit that feature, and then when you like stand on that feature and you look down and your nutsack just drops and you're like, oh my gosh, that's actually did not play out in my head the way that I thought it would according to old mate's story. Yeah. They're just not, obviously, I'd love to, get to a skill level where I can complete at everything at Boomerang, like Boomers one day.
Dude,
but like there's this one.
That intimidates me, mate.
Yeah, it's wild stuff.
The other day, I was like, I don't know whether I can go to Boomers. I think I'll just be too in my head and I'll be shitting my pants.
This this is the thing, because it's like the premier park in Queensland. So many people have ridden there, and like it's got so many like, famous, videos and things like that. You get this, and I think there's one of the reasons that, obviously there's a lot to do with speed management there, because everything runs so much faster than like what you think it would. Like you just go in a general trail speed, bro. Like, but that general trail speed is so much faster than what you might actually be used to normally riding. But when you get there, that torque that everybody gives to it enhances the problems that you shouldn't be having, because you don't have to do all that stuff. Because I've caught myself in that space like multiple times. I've pushed too hard when I shouldn't have, had some gnarly crashes there. But I mean, you can have a gnarly crash riding off a gutter and tripping and whatever. But like, point being, it's like it's so easy to fall into that aura, like, a space, when really you can just ride a green and a blue and you're sweet. Like, you don't have to go do berserker. Like that I was going to say before, like that berserker drop, like you see it on videos and it looks massive, but I have this weird feeling where I like the feeling of being scared. And I walked all the way to the end of berserker, and like I just put like the tips of my toes off the edge and just like looked straight down at like the knuckle, and I was like, I said a bunch of cuss words, and I was just like, and I almost felt like I needed to like drop to my knees like those people on clear glass bridges, and turn around and crawl back. I was just like, in my head, I understand the techniques that it takes to do that.
Yeah.
But like, to stay composed while you're doing that is like, it's pretty serious. Like it's a huge gap. Like, to stay composed when you start getting to those like upper levels of the features, I think is friggin' impressive.
I guess you just take it step by step. I think
exactly.
I've always been one, I don't push my comfort zone. Like, I do it in like real small gradual stages and just build up.
You have to, yeah.
Like, for so long, there's a bunch of features on my trail that still would scare the crap out of me. But I've got to the point now. I mean, I haven't even ridden it in a couple of months, actually. I've got to get back out there and rake and clear it this week. But I'm at a point now where all the jumps and stuff, they all feel sweet for me. I'm feeling good.
Yeah.
So I can start building bigger things, I guess. But I think it's when it's like with Boomerang, it's when it's just a bike park for jumps. I mean, there are other trails there and stuff as well, but when I know that the day's just going to be about jumping or drops, and it's like, now I'm feeling the pressure of that. Like, I like to have both. So it's like, we're here to ride, and it's like, should we go hit the jumps? Like, yeah, let's go hit the jumps now. Jumps. No, I can't handle that. I can't handle that pressure.
Well, it's exactly kind of like how I got myself unstuck. There's a trail that everyone knows called like Mini Mega, and I just kind of like had a bit of a breakthrough. And I didn't think about the fact that the two boys in front of me had both blown their chains like up. One had his rear hub blue, so like obviously it wasn't like it wasn't like it was still spinning on the axle, but it wasn't like the chain was pointless. Same with the other mate. So I was just, instead of doing my own thing and just riding within myself, I was like, I'll just keep up with them. But they had to take any speed that they could get.
Yeah.
And then I ended up, because I was going so fast, missing a pop, sailing like, I came out of it with literally like a scratch on this arm and like gum leaves hanging out of my helmet. Missed the pop, got bucked, like, almost rode it out, and there's like there's like these gum tree roots that stick out in this mound of a berm, and it grabbed my front wheel, and as soon as the front wheel started to go, I just jumped. I was like, nah, I'm not staying with this. And then the bike caught up with me and landed on top. You hear it's actually so funny because you hear in the video go, "You're all right," from sounds like a kilometer away. I'm like, yeah. And it's funny you exactly say that because like you just want to be with your mates, but there is quite a few trails there.
Yeah.
Shout out Trev and the team for doing a fantastic job for the community and having something like that here in Southeast Queensland. Legends. But
it looks amazing. They've done an awesome job, hey.
When you can,
I'll get there. I'll just be packing my decks.
just stick to my actual favorite track to ride is like one heaps of people have ridden, like called Medicare, and the jumps like beelines to everything, jumps aren't that big, still runs really quick. There's when you get into the lower halves, you can take a couple of lines and like go to a techie roadier section on like one of the other trails, and it's just so much fun because you can once you get down the main part of it, you can kind of split off into other things and make it more gnarly or make it less gnarly. And yeah, it's pretty cool. What's going to be next for you though, bro? Like, have you got like a big edit plan, like the next build, or because it's sounding like if you're going to build this thing, it's going to be a pretty lengthy recording process.
Yeah, so I've got one more plan before that. I've been on the computer building like. I want to get better at jumping. I like that. I've always, doesn't matter what sport it is, I've always been drawn to jumping, but I've never been good at jumping anything. And so I want to build a nice Buddha that I can just progress on, just start getting comfortable popping properly and getting a bit of air and I don't know, maybe tweaking the bike, doing something. So but I think it was the fourth video on my YouTube channel. I built this tabletop down at the bottom of the trail, the dirt tabletop, and which is all well and good. Like it was fun, but I just don't ride it that much, and it's actually like 5 meter. It's not a gap, but like it's a 5 meter, to the landing. So it's sizable jump that you have to hit with a bit of pace. So when I've got friends down that don't really jump and we session on it, we're all sort of landing like halfway along. So I'm actually going to try and push all that dirt up into one landing, and I'm going to build 1 or 2 wooden takeoffs of variable sizes, and that I can either have pushed like wedged right up against the landing, so you can just start to get, build a little bit of confidence and getting a little bit of air and just slowly drag this wooden kicker further and further back until, I don't know, maybe one day I'll have a tractor parked in the middle of it or something. You can gap over that. We'll see.
That would be sick. You should have a mulch jump, man.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Because that would be the perfect way. Like if you're going to build yourself an adjustable kicker or something that's a little bit less ski jumpy, or something you can adjust the height of, or because obviously you've got like the whale, what did you call it, the
whale tail.
Yeah, like the whale tail where you can take parts in and out of the jump. If you can build something like that, then maybe a mulch landing is going to be the
well, I thought about that. Also,
money.
Got to push like all the dirt into a pile, see how big it is, and then hire a mulcher for the day. There's plenty of trees that need to be cleaned up around the joint, and there we go. I've got a nice mulch landing. The other thing I was looking at was is it DB airbags or something? Just a big blow up.
Yeah. I've seen the brand around.
Yeah, they're pretty they're a bit pricey, but I was like, maybe if I get a couple more views on the channel, maybe I can get sponsored by them or something and set up a big airbag in the garden.
Man, I reckon if you chucked a sneaky logo or 2 in there, be like, hey guys, I just as a side note, I'd love to see it featured. Blah blah. Like there'll be some way, as if they're not going to be like, hell yeah, we'll give this man an airbag.
It'd be pretty,
Like especially if you get some. Try back, bro. That's the whole I was just about to say. If you got this booter you've just made, they've got their, the fat logo, like fat logoed up, oh my gosh, I just forgot the name of it. Like the what are they? Oh my gosh, I've just gone blank. The mat that you jump onto.
Well, the airbag. What?
Yeah, airbag. You've got the fat logoed up airbag. Yeah, it's full head of mind. Like I've not had much sleep. I should probably be in bed. You got the fat loaded up airbag, and you're upside down. You're like, I tried my first backflip. 2 million views first day.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll be upside down. The bike will be about 3 meters away from me. Like, I tried my first backflip. Yeah. I'll get some views. It'd be like an airbag would be a lot of fun. Then yeah, look, if I can't get the airbag, a mulch jump would be sick as well.
Yeah.
I'd like an actual jump line, so there's like 2 or 3 hits in a row. But one of the reasons I'm building this is because so after that sort of roller coaster section that I was talking about, there's a nice corridor through the trees where there's space to build a decent sized jump. And so I don't want to, like, a decent sized jump for me right now is like, I don't know, 2 meter gap or something. So I want to get more comfortable at jumping so I can build that as a more of a decent sized jump, like, I don't know, 4 meters or something. We'll see. Or I might actually make that so that's adjustable as well. And, you know, if it's just a cruisy day, it's just a regular tabletop. And then if I got some shredders down, we can just drag it out and you've got a, you know, 6 meter, 7 meter gap there or something.
That could be gnarly.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens.
So what's what were you gonna say?
What was that?
I just imagine when this, you know, the land is fully developed and the gnarly plan outworked in your mind is finished, like the YouTuber party, so to speak, would be proper wild. Yeah. It would be so fun. There would be so much smack talk. Guarantee someone's going to the hospital in the meat wagon.
That's it. I've got to get. Everyone has to sign waivers, mate. But
Oh no, make us sign waivers because no doubt someone's going to do something dumb.
Dude, it would be sick. Like just having. So when Froth was down in the area for a while, he came out. Like we rode the trail a lot. That was awesome. And then Carl from MTB and Dave from DMTB. They were here for testing one of the features, and it's so much fun. Like that's when it becomes Yuka and Eric from BCPOV, like some YouTube royalty right there. So showing the trail to them is pretty awesome. But that's the best time, like when riding with mates and just taking them down the trail for the first time and just hearing people's excitement. And I was just like, that's actually one of the best trails I've ridden. Like I'm having so much fun, and that's what I love to hear. It's nothing's too intense on it or anything. It's all sort of built for my level riding, and so it's pretty fun and playful, which I feel like it's awesome to be scaring yourself and stuff. But like we say, mountain biking is just should be all about fun, having a lot of fun, and
absolutely
so the trail for that. I mean, there's going to be stuff that will be able to scare the crap out of myself, but I've got to build this first trail, finish that one first.
How long will it be roughly once it's all done?
Stage 1. So to get the car to the bottom, mate, it's going to be a massive bike park. It's endless. But the actual trail is about 750 meters long now, which doesn't sound very long, but that's like a solid 2 minutes top to bottom riding. No downtime, like you're just flat out the whole time. But that's only going about half of the property, so that it sort of goes a bit flat again and then up another 40 meters of elevation, I think. So the trail could actually get to close to 2 kilometers long with a bit of a flat section where maybe I'll build some skinnies and seesaws and, you know, something interesting. I'll just sort of get creative in that area.
Yeah.
There's like, I've got some mapping applications and stuff, and I just get on there, and with all the contour lines, it's like, all right, so if it goes down here, it can come along here, down there, slight pedal here. And the best one that I've worked out with lots of interesting features and stuff already naturally there is about 3 kilometers long.
Ooh, very nice.
Serious for a backyard trail. So
Not bad. Not bad.
good sauce.
Oh, yes! I was like, please pick up on this. Not bad. Good sauce. Look, I would love to walk out my back door and just go for a lazy 3K spin.
Yeah. Look, living the dream. I mean,
You're working hard though, bro. Like, kudos to you.
Like I left. So to pursue the dream of YouTube, I moved away from all my friends up in Wollongong. It's 5 hours away. I don't actually really know too many people down here, so I'm just a hermit playing video games with the boys online, and then out trail building during the day, like just out in the bush by myself with the dog, and Dad comes and helps. Occasionally the guys come down from Wollongong to help, and so yeah, for reference, it's 5 hours away. So it's
5 hours south.
I'm 5 hours south, so they're north.
Yeah. Got you.
But it's awesome. There's Eden is a town about 30 minutes away down south. They've got new trails opening like as we speak, and some new trails about an hour north in Narooma, which the Narooma trails, I've ridden them already, and they're absolutely unreal. There's just jumps everywhere, stuff to pop off, so playful, some really tech and raw stuff. So I think it should start to really build a mountain bike scene around me that I can maybe make a couple of friends. Have some people.
Mate, I think you'd be pretty set for friends. It's going to be gnarly to see, like obviously as this conversation unfolded, I've learned a little bit, but it's going to be gnarly to see how it all unfolds. Like as these new parks open up, the channel grows, you can put more money back in, channel sponsors come along, give you bits and pieces to help accelerate the build. Time after time, like the next, 2-3 years, you could be seeing something really special. I mean, not that it's, it's already, pretty friggin' special, but like as things accelerate, I imagine that it'll just grow. It'll grow quicker and quicker. Like you said, when you get a new piece of machinery, didn't make things go faster, it just expanded the.
It's just kind of like a massive, yeah, exactly. And it's, I had these ideas of where I want it to go, but
yeah,
every week a new door opens or whatever. I don't know what's on the horizon. And with my current job, so I'm a graphic designer, I run my own business, so that's pretty flexible and stuff as well. So, if some dream gig comes along, I don't know, whatever that may be, maybe somebody wants to pay me heaps of money to build a trail in their backyard and film it as well. I don't know, maybe that's the next step.
Boom.
But it's like we were saying earlier with the snowboard videos, a couple of my friends, and then suddenly I was traveling around Australia with a couple of international pros.
So insane.
I'm so easy like that. I'll just go with the flow, but I'm loving building out of that trail, and it's so good. So I'd love to make that full time and just keep it up.
Mate, you never ever know. Like, I've actually heard quite a few stories in the past month of people that have kind of not fallen into, but like they kind of filled a gap or done something where someone in their local community or area or country wasn't really like doing something. All of a sudden it's just opened up like, no business. So I'm very, very interested to see how the story of CUTLAPS develops.
Yeah, me too.
He's just like, because right now I'm thinking mulch jump, maybe airbag, I don't know, backflip, bike over here, not broken over there. It's a journey, bro.
There's actually I've got an email, I forgot, I need to respond to it, but there's some guy in Florida, he's an Aussie, and he's like, I need help with the trail over here. Can you a call and stuff or something? I don't know what he wants. I need to follow that up. But there's other things like that. Some bike park from South Africa wanted me to, offer them guidance and let them know what they could build and stuff. It's like,
it will be this much, sir.
Yeah, well, no, they wanted me to pay and stuff. I was like, dude, I'm building shit in my backyard. Like, I'm not professionally able to give you guidance on what I don't know.
But still,
there's
like,
possibilities there. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
Right?
If you see, you're a very intelligent guy. The basis of what you do, though, when it gets bigger, the physics change, speed changes, but ultimately the building stays the same. Like if it's bike park size, you know, type things, it's essentially like that. There's a little bit of, you know, people will start involving maths and things like that. And hey man, like you can just be like, hey Florida guy, what's up? Let's jump on a call. Like, you know, like you said, you just never know. Like I think once you tap into those opportunities, it's gonna, you know, you could be like, CUTLAPS is taking a holiday, USA style.
Exactly, right. So yeah, look, I've got no idea where the channel's going to end up. I definitely need to finish this trail in my backyard first before we get on. And there's so many other natural raw features on the property that I want to do stuff with. Like when I get bored, I'll just go for a bushwalk and explore. And every time I find something new, I'm like, oh, look at this rock. I'll take a photo and mark, like put a pin on the map and be like, oh, you could send it off this, or there's a perfect space for it. Step up or whatever it may be.
That's so sick.
Usually the features are like, you know, for Red Bull riders or something, not my level, but like that would be crazy.
We all, man, I honestly think if we're not all like that in this category of mountain biking that we like, I look at stuff, there's a rock roll. John is like, yeah, that's a pretty serious rock roll. Like when he was down at my local DJs and the kids literally just like snap some tree branches back. And it's because there's a council section trail up behind the DJs near mine. But
right.
the DJs are kind of like dug out in the middle of this, not really like a mountain, but it's probably about like 85, 90 meters of elevation in this thing. And it's just this rock face into the back of the turnaround. And then me and one of the boys, we were looking to the left of it and we were like, oh, it'd be so sick if we had another one here, if we just have to fill in the base. And then like I went and looked at it the other day, I was like, I would effing die if I fell off this. And I was like, and then I started going like, if I clip that, this would happen here. And then I just started breaking it down in my head. I'm like, that is no room for, there's like 2 lines max. But I still wanted to do it. I was like, I still want to go down it. Why am I thinking of this? I could freaking die.
That's mountain biking, man.
That is mountain biking. Man, I am thoroughly happy with the conversation. I think it's been killer combo. Yeah. I think it's given a good insight to anyone that may not know about you, who you are, what you're doing, but more so your character. And I think it's a sick thing. Like this fun-loving guy with a gnarly beard, the shaggy hair. He just loves to ride his bike and build ridiculous features in his backyard that require absurd amounts of timber.
Too much timber. Do you
think it's something that's going to help you, like, because you probably have to cut a trail in to get stuff in and out. Are you going to get something that's going to help you move, like, you know, so you're not just walking things in K after K?
Well, so Dad's got a tractor, which is why I loaded all the wood up, and I drove that as close as I could. There's sort of like access trails all around the property. But yeah, I can't often get right to where I need to. So that time I had to, walk 100 meters or something with it.
Well, if we ever sit down again in the near future, by that time, my guy, praying, someone just comes in and be like, bro, my guy from Florida, he's going to chuck some cash at you and you're going to get a bunch of ridiculous machines and next level, boom, bike park on the property. Let's go.
That'll be awesome. That was like, fingers crossed. Let's see what happens. But like seriously, what I'm doing right now, I love it.
You're so happy with,
I'm living the dream already. Well, absolutely. Like whatever else happens, it's all just a bonus.
Yeah, it's like it's something that Ty Bowmaker, we still talk a little bit, and even like post pod, he's such a friggin' legend. But he's got his like thing, and if you follow him, you see quite a bit like living the dream, and he really is just so thankful. Like he's got a couple of projects coming up. I won't say what they are because I don't think he's gone public with them yet, but just like he's just like, it's just crazy. It's like obviously he's incredibly skilled with the camera.
Yeah.
And he just gets to ride bikes in beautiful places doing so. And he's just like, every time these I've met people that are successful in what they're doing and they're not humble. They're kind, but they're not, like super chill about it, or they don't seem overtly thankful. And I'm really stoked that each of the guests that I've had on, that they are in quite a place of a pretty good place of success for what they're doing. Like it's cool to see that they're just thankful for the next step to come.
Yeah. No, he seems like an absolute legend. So it's because I chat to him a little bit as well.
Yeah.
And he's planning on, he's hoping to come down and ride the trail on some road trip and stuff. So, because he's obviously, like, I've been passionate about filming.
Yeah, he's a gong boy, yeah.
Yeah. So got some, pretty similar interests there. So it'd be cool to do a collaboration with him and see what happens. Just two guys frothing on bikes and filming and outdoors and adventure.
CUTLAPS times Captivate.
Yeah.
CC. Even a merch drop. Oh, free idea there. I'll take 2% of every sale. Thank you very much.
I've just placed a ridiculous. My bank account just got drained today, placing a massive order of merch. So
yeah,
fingers crossed, people are keen.
I guarantee. Keep the integrity high. Keep the stoke high. Keep the build quality videos high, mate. It'll come.
I think that's what the connection is that, like you say, people, they connect to just the sort of, that raw happiness. I'm not faking anything in those videos,
Yeah, I know, 100%.
I have to turn the energy levels up. It's YouTube. Like sometimes you'll film in front of the camera and then you watch it back and you're like, it's just flat and monotone. You're like, oh, no, more energy. But, realistically, that's pretty much just me out there. I don't want to lie to the fans.
I don't want to be anyone else other than what you are.
Just want to have a good time. So, yeah. And I think, people relate to that. They see me, like, I'm not going to, when I'm scared to hit one of the features I built or anything, I'm not going to hide that and try and be like, oh, yeah, like, I'm not scared. This is easy, whatever.
Nah, it's dumb. People will see through that junk, especially if you say that and then you eat it afterwards. You're like, oh, I thought he was going to make it. He sounded like real confident. But the guys used to
get big views though, so
crashes do big views, but that's what the mulch jump and the airbag are for. Guys, airbag team, get this man his airbag. On that, bro. I want to see it. But on that, bro, wow, what a story, what a laugh. As I do more and more of these podcasts, people, it's just good to get to know good humans that love bikes, and especially Luke, who obviously is very well successful with his YouTubing and his building. It's really cool to have that insight, bro. So thank you so much for your time. You're gonna get that airbag. I'm probably gonna cut an excerpt and tag the business too. And we'll see what happens. But thank you so much for your time, bro.
No, dude, thank you so much for having me. Like, that was easy, just cruisy conversation. So easy to talk to. I had a great time. So cheers.
Beautiful. Guys, that was episode 10 of the Fully Pinned podcast with Mr. CUTLAPS himself. Let's go. Thank you, bro. Oh, man. Where's that stop recording button? There we go.